Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of October 24th, 2024, including, let's recap all the news from the Xbox partner preview last week. Black Ops 6 and Sonic X Shadow Generations are both out this week. Why are theme park alcoholic beverages so darn expensive? And more. Oh, Call of Duty is it's the same game every year. Call of Duty is so cliche. Listen, man, when you write a song that's that fucking badass, you can bitch and moan about Call of Duty all you want. But until you write Pentagon as featured on the Call of Duty Black Ops soundtrack in the year 2010, you can take a rock and shove it up your stupid ass, you stupid motherfucker. Happy Sonic X Black Ops Generations 6 week, everybody. Welcome to the Xbox On podcast. I guess we would normally start here by saying, on this week in Xbox history, in the year 2004, 20 years ago, Scalar was released in North America and Australia. Scalar is the name of that character platformer game from the Xbox PS2 era that I've been trying to remember the name of for like the past 2 years. Thank you, God. Yes, thank you. Scalar. This game was... I don't know if this game was good. I know I liked this game a lot. I know when I was a kid and my dad worked for Blockbuster and we could rent video games, like an unlimited amount of video games as much as we wanted for free because it was one of the perks of my dad's job. I remember this was a game I would rent often. I remember renting it on the PS2 and on the GameCube on multiple occasions because I was sick in the head as a child and I really only liked character platform games. I liked Mario and games that were like Mario. So, yeah, I liked Scalar a lot. I doubt this game holds up and is any good, although, you know, we get a lot of obscure games from like the PS1, Xbox OG kind of era that have been like remastered and re-released. So I wonder if this is one we might see one day. Developed by Artificial Mind and Movement, and you might say, who the fuck is Artificial Mind and Movement? Well, you might know them because they reformed and their name changed over the years, and these days they go by the name Behavior Interactive. So yeah, the guys that eventually, or the company that eventually made Dead by Daylight is the company that made this knockoff action platformer PS2, Xbox, GameCube game from 2004. Published by Global Star Software, which is a Canadian publisher that was bought and absorbed by 2K around 2007, I think. So so a bunch of names you've never heard of, but of course talent and people who still exist in the industry today. Just such a weird one. It's so funny when you look at like some of the most popular games today and like the developers that made them. It's like, oh yeah, you guys used to make that game where it was like you're like the ant and you had to like run the football up and down the children's legs on the playground because you're a tiny little ant and you had to do stupid shit because video games used to be ridiculous and stupid. And now it's like, yeah, they make like that really hyper realistic Star Wars game. It's like, oh, that's kind of weird. It's like, oh, I remember those guys. They used to make that game where like you played as a ghoul, and the objective of the game was to find all your fucking zombie friends and put their bodies together so you could have a ghoulish party on Halloween night. It's like, I remember that game as a kid. What a fun game I played on the Nintendo 64. Oh yeah, those guys. Yeah, those guys make the most fucking gritty, realistic, Souls-like motherfucking parry, hyper-realistic. The graphics are amazing. RTX 700X won't even cut it. This graphics... Shut up, dude. Shut up. I love that. That's all, like, modern hardware is done. It's like, oh, yeah, more power, more graphical fidelity. Games are more sophisticated and technical than ever before. It's like, yeah, and everyone's just making the same fucking 3 games with it. Come on, bring back Scalar. He's a weird little chameleon that looks kind of like a dragon. He had different little power-ups. He could turn into different types of lizard power-up. I don't know what the fuck, but I remember liking this game. I just have a really fucking weird memory. In the summer of 2004, sitting in my bedroom playing this on a 10-inch CRT TV and blasting Life of a Salesman by Yellowcard off the record Ocean Avenue, and just being like, I'm cool. I have messy mop hair and I wear Converse and I like playing Scalar for PlayStation 2 and listening to Yellowcard's only album that's ever going to get attention. We didn't know. In 2004, we didn't know that Ocean Avenue was the only record people were ever going to give a shit by Yellowcard, even though technically the record before it, One for the Kids, way better record. Technically, the record from 2007, 2 records after Ocean Avenue, Paper Walls, way better record. Technically, the record from 2012, Southern Air, way better record. I'm sorry. Gotta say it. As a lifelong Yellowcard fanboy, Ocean Avenue, it's a great record. Ocean Avenue, it's a great song. I get the love. You motherfuckers out here. I know only one. I know Ocean Avenue. Listen, man. Listen to Rivertown Blues off of Southern Air. And if that doesn't fucking move you, if that's not like the most high energy fucking punk rock song you've ever heard, then you can take your head, you can shove it into like I don't even know how you play Dead by Daylight. I think you like shove your head in a beehive looking for honey, and then some butcher man with a hairy ass slaughters you, because that's what you guys like to, that's what you like to do for fun. You like to play that game on an RTX 70 with your stupid PC instead of listening to, I don't know, fucking dude, Honest from the Jump, Yellowcard, their newest EP. It's a fucking good song. Listen, man, the early 2000s were good, but some of these creatives from that time period, they're still doing good shit. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Happy Sonic Black Ops 6 release week, you guys. It's a great week. This is one of those weeks where, you know, I like talking about video games. It's a hobby of mine. It's a thing I'm enthusiastic about, and therefore that is why I have a podcast about Xbox. It's a creative outlet to share my enthusiasm and interest for this thing, this hobby of mine, with the rest of you who choose to listen and participate. But this is one of those weeks where I don't really want to talk to anyone about video games. I don't really want to do any podcast about los videos juegos, as they say in French. I don't want to do any of that shit. I want to play video games. Like, I want to be sitting down, controlling Shadow the Hedgehog and making him relive the experience of Maria getting shot by the U.S. federal government again and again, because I think that's fun. I want to play Black Ops 6, and Call of Duty is the same game. Shut up. 2 new zombie maps at launch, 16 new Black Ops, 16 new multiplayer maps, brand new campaign developed by Raven Software featuring beloved characters like Mason, Woods, dare I say, Russell Adler. I mean, come on, man. I'm excited. It's a great week. I'm a little pissed off. A lot of things in my personal life trying to eat away at my free time. I am trying to be as much of a hermit as I can possibly be the next week of my life. Yes, it's the week before Halloween. I don't give a shit. You want to know what the most fun way to celebrate Halloween would be? Is to wear black makeup and put on some fur and pretend to be Shadow the Hedgehog. Although I think that might be considered blackface, so I probably won't do that. But it would be fun to order Domino's Pizza and play brand new Call of Duty Zombies maps, which that's something I would love to do. So it's a good problem to have. Lots of fun things happening. We're at peak Halloween season. We got new video games. They're, especially Black Ops. It's very Halloween fitting. Ah, God. There's nothing better than when you get new Call of Duty Zombies just in time for... I can't even remember last time it happened, too, honestly. I don't remember when Black Ops 3 came out, if that was October or November, but Call of Duty is usually a November release, so it's so frustrating when it's like, oh, the new Call of Duty Zombies game came out 8 days after Halloween. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? If you got zombies, get that shit out right in time. You know, I want to spend 2.5 hours passing candy to the children of the neighborhood, and then I want to spend 3 hours eating pizza and playing Black Ops. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Come on, Activision, Microsoft, get it together. All right, guys, welcome to this week's podcast. Mike Clark writes in, says, Xbox on podcast, the only 5-star Xbox podcast for PlayStation console users. That's true. I feel like if all PlayStation fanboys listen to this podcast and compared to all other Xbox podcasts, this would probably rank among the upper echelon, right? Because we're pretty fair to PlayStation. Listen, I played Scalar. You heard me. I played Scalar on the PS2. I didn't play it on the OG Xbox. In fact, I barely played the original Xbox, save for like Halo. Like, so, hey, man, listen, I got a soft spot in my heart for PlayStation 2. Maybe it's because I'm not so fucking unadjusted as a human being. I'm not so fucking decrepit as a soul that I think less of human beings who play on a different video game piece of fucking hardware. Yeah, we'll save it for later. We'll probably get there. Guys, Let's start this week with our notable game releases of the week. Well, we kind of already touched on them, didn't we? Sonic X Shadow Generations. The thing is, if you spent the extra $10 and pre-ordered the deluxe edition for $60 as opposed to the standard $50 version of the game, you get 3 days early access to the game. So I did that because I wanted to play the game early. So I played it yesterday, Tuesday night. But also because if you get that extra special sexy deluxe edition of the game, you get access to that Shadow DLC in Tokyo thing that they teased recently. Doesn't come out till December, but you get access to that if you get the special edition of the game. Black Ops 6, well, that comes out this Friday, October 25th. Oh, Game Pass. Day one Game Pass, Call of Duty. I mean, this is a huge moment for Xbox Game Pass. Obviously, this is, and I don't say this lightly, this is the most important game that has ever come to Game Pass. It's also probably the most important game that will ever come to Game Pass, because if this doesn't work out, it's time to start rethinking what we do with Game Pass. And if this does work out, you can expect Call of Duty to keep coming to Game Pass. So I think at least for the next year or two, we'll probably get more Call of Duty on Game Pass. But this is going to be the most, for Microsoft, this is going to be the most telling moment in Game Pass's history for them as to what they want to do with this service and what it means for the future of Xbox. So that'll be that's really the bigger story here, is what Call of Duty Day One on Game Pass means for Xbox. But for me, as someone who just likes video games and enjoys fun video games, for me, it just means we're finally getting a sequel to Black Ops Cold War. So so that's pretty cool. But yeah, those are the two big games coming out this week. If there's really anything else you're looking forward to, you're kind of fucking dumb, if you ask me. And that's just my honest opinion. I don't mean to be rude or nothing. I think that. But let's move on, guys. Let's start out this week, warm up before we get into these Call of Duty Sonic games. Before we do all of that, let's talk about some mildly amusing stories. Let's warm up with some things going on in the news. Not too much in the news really this week. We just got to talk about this partner preview showcase thing last week, but that's a couple of odds and ends. So we'll start out with some Banjo-Kazooie news. I know you OG Nintendo kids that eventually jump ship to Xbox, which, let's be honest, that's a lot of people cut their teeth on Nintendo and then graduate to something else, and for a lot of Xbox fans, that is their past. So this is making the news recently. Rare's Nintendo 64 classic game, Banjo-Tooie, the sequel to Banjo-Kazooie, is coming to Nintendo Switch this month. The 2000 sequel to the 1997 original will be added to the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass subscription in October, on the 25th, same day as Call of Duty. The original Banjo-Kazooie game released for the Switch in 2022. At the time, Banjo-Kazooie's original developer, Rare, said that in a statement, it was a pleasure to usher the Bear and Bird onto Nintendo's latest console, offering another modern way, alongside Game Pass and the Rare Replay collection, to savor its many collectibles and googly eyes. Other Nintendo 64 developed games now owned by Microsoft or developed by Rare, which have been added to Nintendo Switch Online, include GoldenEye, Jet Force Gemini, and Blast Corp. So clearly this isn't, some unprecedented move. I just want to make it clear, don't look into this. Anytime I see this kind of thing happen, I feel like people start looking into it. Microsoft's testing the waters. They're going to bring back Banjo-Kazooie. I think for the most part, Xbox fans are finally at a point where or Banjo-Kazooie fans are finally at a point where they know not to look into this beyond what's happening on the surface level. Microsoft is very fucking loose with their brands and their owned IP. See them putting all their fucking games on PlayStation for further reference, but yeah, I think this is clearly just simply that the Banjo-Kazooie games are quintessential N64 experiences. Nintendo probably was like, yeah, we got a good relationship with Microsoft. They're kind of desperate for money, when it comes from gaming. And they're probably like, yeah, let's get Banjo-Tooie on the platform. It's time. And Microsoft was probably like, yeah, sure, because when we all play, we all win. Whatever, some fucking bullshit like that. And so they let them put Banjo-Tooie on Switch. And that's probably really the entirety of the story. There's really nothing to this. I don't think Microsoft is coming back to this franchise. I just don't think they see the commercial viability in this brand. They see the nostalgia for sure. And I do think there is something that could be done here. I do think Microsoft is sleeping on this IP by not trying to come up with something more creative. But this idea that like they need to take Rare and put them on a Banjo-Kazooie 3 proper, and do like a AAA 5-year developed $150 million, to to develop type game. That's absurd. Like, we don't need that. And I don't think Banjo-Kazooie is that kind of IP. I think it is a time and place thing, and a lot of its charm has to do with that. But I also do feel like there's something you could do with Banjo-Kazooie. I'm not sure what. Maybe some like really fun like recreation of the game or something, some from the ground remake. But it's nothing that you put Rare on, you know? It's nothing that you take Rare away from Sea of Thieves and Everwild and whatever else they're working on and put them on that. I feel like that's something like you hire some passionate, smaller team that can do it for cheap. That'll do a bang-up job that understands and respects the IP, because like I just don't think Banjo-Kazooie is that IP. I know people want it to be. It's kind of like why we don't get a lot of love for Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. It's because like you always think it's like, come on, are they going to bring those games back? What are we going to do? And, you know, before Microsoft owned Activision, it was like every once in a blue moon they would try a little something, especially with Crash. But it's like there's just something about those games. There's something you can do with them for sure, but they're not going to be these heavy hitter games that they once were. Like, it's just, that's not where the market is. Maybe if Banjo-Kazooie was like some Souls-like game with RPG mechanics and it was like 140 hours to beat it minimum, you know, and it had like difficulty scaler and you could like upload your move sets to the cloud and do a photo mode, and there was a photorealistic mode and photo finish mode, and people like photos, I guess. I don't know, like maybe you could do something with it, but just do me a favor, don't get your hopes up. Just keep them low. If you like Banjo-Kazooie, just celebrate the fact that it's accessible on modern Xbox and Nintendo hardware, and just leave it at that, because it's the only way to keep your heart free from the pain that will inevitably come with looking forward to and being hopeful about things you want to see come to fruition. So that's just my advice for you. Just don't dream at all. Just don't look forward to anything, and don't hope for good things to happen, because you'll only be met with disappointment. All right, the other story to kind of open this up this week, I thought this was pretty interesting. So this is news about the industry at large, but it is coming from the mouth of a former PlayStation executive. One of, honestly, the smartest people, in the games industry. Whenever this guy has something to say, I always, to me, it always ends up being somewhat newsworthy, because he's just an interesting guy, and he's called a lot of things from a mile away and been right about it in the past. So, all right, from VGC, former PlayStation executive Sean Layden said that he believes that game consoles' power arms race has plateaued, and that the majority of consumers are not interested in marginally more powerful machines. Layden, who during his 30-year career at Sony served as CEO of SIE, which is Sony Interactive Entertainment of America, and chairman of Worldwide Studios, he was asked by VGC at Gamescom Asia if the pursuit of incremental, more powerful consoles can continue sustainably into the future, considering the increase in development costs. He says, quote, "We've done these things this way for 30 years. Every generation, those costs went up, and the realignment, and we realigned it with, we've reached this precipice now, where the center is something that we can't hold. We cannot continue to do things that we have done before." Layden then added that he believed that in order for the console market to remain healthy, they must be able to appeal to a broad audience and consumers who weren't previously players. Quote, "It's time for a real hard reset on the business model. A hard reset on what is to be a video game. What it is to be a video game. It's not 80 hours, it's not 90 hours, but if that's the whole but it's a whole different category." When he was asked about the future of console hardware, Layden said that he believed that a power boost on its own would not be appealing to the majority of players. "It is plateaued," he says. "We're in the stage of hardware development that I call only dogs can hear the difference," he said. That's the best way to put it, right? Like a dog whistle. Only dogs can hear the difference. He says, if you're playing the game and sunlight is coming through your window onto your TV, you're not seeing any ray tracing, and it's not super optimal. And you have to have an 8K monitor in a dark room to see these things. We're just fighting over teraflops, and there's no place to be. We need to compete on content. Jacking up specs of the box, I think we reached the ceiling." Layden concluded by saying, "The race is nearly over, and you know who won? AMD." Yeah, I mean, I think if that doesn't speak for itself, I mean, like, come on. This guy is always, he's always spitting facts. And listen, I think there's no better example of this being true than to look at Xbox's trajectory, especially in the recent generation. Oh my God, these fucking spam notifications for Bitcoin I get from Skype. Fuck off, you stupid live.cid7-. No one wants your stupid Bitcoin. How about bit your ass, because I'm going to do that to you if you don't fuck off. All right, spam is diverted. Now we move back to the news. Yeah, look no further than Xbox, right? Because Xbox was always the power brand. And in the Xbox 360 years, it meant a lot to be the most powerful console because we were officially in the generation of HD gaming. You think about, like, listen, man, anyone here who's old enough, and it terrifies me to think that maybe there's someone listening to this podcast who's young enough to not really remember the jump from standard definition televisions to high definition televisions, but I'm sure the overwhelming majority of people listening right now can distinctly remember the first few times they saw an HD television. When you moved from a stupid fucking 480p tube TV static piece of shit and you saw some fucking flat screen 720p Panasonic, whatever the fuck you saw in 2005, whatever, 6, whatever it was, you know, that was a mind-blowing experience. You could see it at someone's house. You could see it on the fucking back porch at someone's pool deck. You could see it at the sports bar. You could see it at the monitor at your church. If you went to one of those weird mega churches I went to where they have TVs everywhere, you could see it basically anywhere you go. The second you saw an HD TV, your eyes were drawn to it. You're like, I don't understand technology, but that looks really, really impressive compared to the thing I'm used to seeing. But nobody fucking looks at the Xbox One compared to the Xbox 360 and goes, oh my God, the difference is night and day. Nobody looks at the Xbox Series X compared to the Xbox One and goes, well, simply put, if you have the Xbox One, you're a fucking asshole. No one cares. It's like the difference has been so... I remember when I first got the Xbox One in early 2024 or 2014, like 2 months after it came out. And I remember fucking plugging that bitch in and being so excited to play Titanfall. And I remember being like, I can tell on the whole that this looks a lot better than my Xbox 360 games, but I am like woefully underwhelmed by what this console looks like compared to how I felt in 2005 playing Xbox 360 for the first time. And then I had the same experience the day the Xbox Series X came out. I remember rushing home from Disney's Animal Kingdom that morning because Amazon was like, your Xbox is out for delivery. I'm like, wee, new Xbox. And I rushed home and I fucking unboxed my Xbox Series X and I plugged it into the TV and I said, Xbox One, you're going in the bedroom to watch Netflix. Xbox Series X, you're staying out here on the big TV. And I plugged her up and I downloaded fucking Destiny 2 because there were no fucking launch games to get hyped about. And I remember booting it up and going, wow, Destiny 2 on the Xbox Series X looks a lot better than it did on my day one Xbox One. But it's not like that feeling I got the first time I played the Xbox 360. It's not like that feeling I got the first time I played a Xbox or a PS2. It's not like that feeling I got when I played the PlayStation 1 or the Sega Dreamcast over a Super Nintendo. It's just not the same thing. And it's so fucking clear. And people don't give a shit. And the more and more we steer into this future where it's just like, oh yeah, me and my friends hang out on Fortnite. You know, it's not like we play video games. We're gamers. Our game of choice is Fortnite. It's like, no. Me and my friends socialize, and our game of choice is Fortnite. And your fucking phone can run Fortnite, and your PS4 or your PS5 or your PS5 Pro can all run Fortnite, and nobody gives a shit if it's the Series S or the Series X. And the only people talking about any of this are the fucking little hypebeast Twitter boy fanboys who are a microscopic, insignificant percentage of people who play video games. It doesn't matter. And I think after the Xbox 360 years, Xbox was lost for a long time, especially after the fumbles of the Xbox One, with thinking, and this is another example of why Xbox One was actually right and everyone else was wrong, by the way, just as a side note, because Xbox One was like entertainment, all in one, features, TV, and it was like, oh, that's kind of fucking unique and cool. I like that. And it wasn't like, we're the most powerful console. And then at the beginning of the Xbox One generation, that console got laughed out the door because the PS4 was an imperceptible amount, tiny little bit more powerful than the Xbox One. And Microsoft got so butthurt over your Twitter comments, not you, but, you know, the royal you, that Xbox was like, never again. And then they're like, here's the Xbox One X. It's got teraflops. Here's the Xbox Series X. It's got teraflops. And you know what happened? Xbox continued to fucking lose because no one who actually matters, no sizable percentage of any population gives a shit about teraflops and ray tracing and SLDR, upscaling, hyper resolution. Nobody cares, Mark Cerny. Go back to making Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in the early 90s because that was the best thing you ever did. Nobody cares, you know? And it's just... the proof is in the pudding. No matter how much Xbox puts out a more powerful console, people go, Okay, but my friends are on PlayStation. What the fuck do I care? And we're at this point in time where the device in your pocket or the tablet on your nightstand or the console connected to your fucking TV or the laptop in your work bag or the desktop at your home office all can do the same fucking things. The difference is, yeah, it looks a little better on that one. The frame rate's a little better on that one. You can do SLDR, HMD5, Dolby Atmos on that one. And nobody who actually fucking matters outside the Twitter hype boys, I like arguing about video games more than playing them kind of people, are, nobody cares. And we see it because PlayStation is in such a privileged, dominant position where they can just keep playing the same game and winning, and that's why they can afford to R&D and justify creating a PlayStation 5 Pro. But Xbox is in such a lose situation. They're in such a fucking dire situation with their hardware sales that you see that. Their decision to say, we're in last place and we're not going to do a mid-console refresh, that lack of participation tells you this isn't worth it. We did Xbox One X. It wasn't worth it. Aside from a few people with questionable Twitter profile pictures, it didn't really do anything for us to make this device. So we're not R&Ding that, and we're not producing that, and we're not putting it out there because it doesn't fucking matter. But what is Xbox working on? Well, they're working on another console, for the power users, for the hardcore fans, because that's like the thing they're kind of locked into, so they got to do that. But instead of, a more powerful console every 3 years, a mid-gen refresh, they're working on a handheld and a lesser powered console that's like super cost effective, like the Xbox Series S was. And well, that's actually attractive because people who just want to have a machine that can access the video games they're interested in playing can go, a cost effective way to get in the door with home console gaming. I can get down with that. Or someone who goes, hey, Game Pass is great value. I wish I could get in for dirt cheap with this hardware because, PlayStations are $500. Does Xbox have, oh yeah, they have a $300 way to get in the door. That's pretty interesting. Or people go, hey, handheld gaming is pretty fucking compelling. It's nice to be able to play this wherever you go, play it in bed. I like the flexibility and the versatility of it. We're the generation, people my age, we're the generation of Animal Crossing people. There's nothing my generation loves more than not getting out of bed and playing a video game under the covers. So listen, man, meet people where they're at. People don't give a shit if they can see the sweat on Monkey Man's face in whatever fucking video game you're playing. What they care about is the device affordable? Is the device versatile? Is the device capable of playing the games does the device have the games they want to play? And yeah. And it's funny because Sean Layden, he has that stinger at the end where he says the console race is nearly over, and you know who won? AMD. Yeah, they won by constantly R&Ding the same fucking chip over and over again, being like, hey, it's slightly better, buy millions of these and put them in your box. And people kept doing it. But what about what the consumers actually want? And it's the numbers speak for themselves, man. Obviously, there's always going to be that contingency of people who want the hottest, sexiest, sleekest thing. That's why they make the iPhone XL Pro 940, and that's why they make the Samsung Galaxy 23 Ultra, whatever the fuck they make. But the majority of people are going to go, yeah, the new iPhone, whatever, the cheap one, the $800 one, not the $1,400 one, because people don't give a shit. They all play the same apps. You can fucking watch porn on all of them. Nobody cares. So I'm done with my tirade. I'm done with my rant. If you want to know the future of the Xbox hardware cycle, it's that. People just don't fucking care. Just give them the thing that does the thing, and they're happy. Maseratis are cars, and most people drive Toyotas, so shut up. Anyway, I'm done there. That's my point. Sean Layden still being a fucking G over here by making points that, fly in the face of what he would have been able to say when he was at Sony. And he's just calling it like he sees it. As someone who has stood at the top of the mountain, he's looking out over and saying, guys, I'm not a fucking idiot. I stood in at these meetings. I saw how these things performed. I led the fucking biggest brand in gaming. I know what I'm talking about. Games are so expensive to make. Hardware is just this fucking chasing this dragon of this mythical creature that is this ever more powerful console that no one actually cares about. It's stop doing all of that. It's not sustainable. We need to just focus on making creative, interesting games. Really, the only people who do it right are Nintendo, because Nintendo's here's a fucking potato and a new Zelda game that's really unique, and people are okay, we'll buy. We as the collective human population will buy 40 million copies of that game. Nintendo fucking re-released a Wii U copy, a version of Mario Kart and sold like 50 million copies on Switch. Nintendo is living, breathing proof that nobody cares about how many giga flips you got. They just care, can the machine play the game that they want to play? And is it affordable? Is it attainable? Yep. Okay, that's all you need. Shout out to mobile games. All right. That's it for all of our opening news stories. You guys, before we get into the main news, where we're really just going to talk about the Xbox partner preview, I want to talk to you about the games I've been playing this week. But before I can tell you about the games I've been playing this week, I got to first tell you about what it is I've been eating. You guys, I got a quick one for you. So, girlfriend, she's out of town all week. She's gallivanting around the Georgia region of the planet. Maybe the country, maybe the state. I don't fucking know where she was. She was somewhere. Was she cheating on me? All right, here's the thing. So I was at Disney. I was like, you know what I'm going to do this weekend? I'm going to do all the things that I can't do when I'm with my girlfriend. Just have like a little like fuck it day. And we have like a rule where we don't really buy alcohol at theme parks because it's so incredibly cost prohibitive. But this time I was like, you know what? I'm fucking doing it. I had, whatever. I just wanted to chill. So I went to Disney's Typhoon Lagoon on Saturday, which is like one of my favorite places on earth. It's one of their water parks. It's just fucking awesome. If you've never heard of it or you've never been, which chances are you haven't, because it's not the most popular thing in the world. It's great. It's phenomenal. It's the best water park ever. It might as well just be a fucking tropical island. But I love to just go to Disney's Typhoon Lagoon because of how like well themed and immersive it is, and just honestly just fucking just veg out on a fucking beach chair and read my Kindle and take a nap and then maybe jump in the lazy river for an hour. So I went there on Saturday. I was just like, I'm going to fucking read 150 pages of this book and fall asleep. And that's exactly what I did. But when I woke up from my nap, I said, you know what? Kind of feeling a little crazy. I think I'm going to break a rule. I'm going to try a theme park cocktail because whatever, listen, a week away, when your girlfriend's out of town for a week, life's pretty fucking affordable. Spoiler alert, like just you don't have to spend $100 on groceries for the week when your girlfriend is out of town. You can just go to Publix and do the buy one get one on whatever fucking pasta's on sale that week and just live on like a giant pot of pasta. And mom, if you're listening, with broccoli. And it's fucking awesome. Like you can pretty much live on $10 in gasoline for a week. So I was like, you know what? My spending's like really down this week. I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to try a fucking cocktail. So Matt, let's go slurping the walk-up bar at Disney's Typhoon Lagoon Water Park. And I'm like, let me get a Mai Tai. They got a Mai Tai on the menu. Mai Tai sounds all fruity and tropical and fun, like something you would drink when you're at a sandy beach. And if you've ever been to Typhoon Lagoon, it feels like you're in a fucking sandy beach, especially because Florida heat. And so, dude, $17 for a Mai Tai? What the fuck? So I drink it. Pretty good. Sugary, sweet, fun. It's a theme park cocktail. It was good. I enjoyed it. I go back. I'm like, all right, let me try the Pina Colada. Pina Colada is one of my favorite fun drinks at Disney World. I almost never get it anymore, but I used to love it back in the day, back in like 2016 when you could get one at the resorts for like $12, $13. And then, of course, how much does a Pina Colada cost now? Well, after tax and a decent tip, $20. I spent like $40 after tax and tip on like 2 cocktails. I'm like, what is happening? Now, were they good? Yes. $40 fucking dollars? What? I don't understand. Listen, I remember distinctly the last time I worked in restaurants. I worked in restaurants forever. The last time I worked in restaurants was, I quit. I left that job when I moved to Florida. So I left that job in like early 2019, right? And that was like a hip, cool kind of like Japanese izakaya restaurant in like Decatur, Georgia. So it's like kind of like a cool hip area, right? And I remember to myself, like bulking at like the fact that we charged $11, $12 for a cocktail. And we had craft cocktails. Like we had like a pretty like locally well-known bartender and his buddy set up our bar program at that restaurant. And, they were pretty good. They taught me, in the years I worked there, they taught me a shit ton about bartending and alcohol that I would never have otherwise learned. And I got to try a lot of things and see a lot of things. And these guys definitely knew their shit. And they would spend hours and hours prepping ingredients and making syrups and shit and like creating their own craft cocktails. And it was good shit. Like it was a legitimate bar, And we were charging like $11, $12. Our cheapest cocktail was probably $9. Our most expensive cocktail was probably $13. But on average, $11, $12 for a cocktail. And I just remember in like 2017, 2018 when I was working there, just being like, I cannot believe we charge that much for a cocktail. How much should a cocktail be? Like $7, $8? You know, you go to a restaurant, a Coke is like $1.99. And then you fast forward all the way to today, and it's like you can't find a restaurant that will sell you a goddamn Jack and Coke for under $15. It's ridiculous. I don't understand what the fuck is happening with alcohol. But you go to a theme park and like my mind is so broken. It's so like I know a lot of people are probably like this. Where like price wise, I can't not look at things and think of like pre-pandemic pricing. And so like when I go to like Disney or Universal or whatever, I see an alcoholic beverage. I'm like, yeah, it's like $13, $14. You know, theme park pricing, like maybe $15 worst case scenario. But I think when I go to Disney World now, I don't think I can find a single cocktail on all of Walt Disney World property among the hundreds of restaurants and dining establishments all throughout those parks and resorts where a cocktail costs less than $17. It is absurd. My favorite, Disney has like a generic cocktail menu that they'll do at like 90% of their bars. Like these 10 or 15 cocktails you can find at pretty much any resort, any restaurant on property. And then some of their nicer restaurants will have their entire own bar program that's like separate from that. And then some restaurants will just not do that at all if they're like third party or something. But there is this one menu of like 10 to 15 drinks that, yeah, maybe more like 80% of restaurants at Disney World have this menu, right? In addition to whatever else they serve. And one of the drinks on that menu is called the smoked turkey. It's this bourbon cocktail with lemonade and cherry and like real maraschino cherries. It's super fun. It's smoky. It's oaky. It's woody. It's fun to drink. It's nice and relaxing. It's refreshing as hell. It's like a nice summery bourbon drink. It's perfect for Florida heat, Disney World, but it's also like a little classy and fun to get as well. So it's like my special drink. Like if we're going to a Disney restaurant for like a birthday or like Christmas to like celebrate a special occasion, I'll always get a smoked turkey because it's my favorite drink. I love it so much. Dude, I remember when I started ordering that cocktail back in the day, years ago, it was always $14. Then 2 years ago, it went up to $15. Then not long after that, it went to $16. About a week ago, Disney just raised prices at the restaurants again. That cocktail is like at $17 or $18, depending on the restaurant you go to now. It's what the dude? You giving me like an ounce and a half of Knob Creek bourbon? Like this is like just the bourbon you would buy at like the grocery store. Like this is nothing special whatsoever. You hit it with a fucking maraschino cherry and a splash of lemonade. And I think it has like some other cheap bourbon in there as well. It's like, I mean, we're talking about a cocktail that costs as much as a bottle of every liquor that's in it. You know, it's just insane. And I don't know, man. I mean, I guess on a broader scale, just the conversation about alcoholic beverages in general, it's like so out of control. And listen, it was fun. I got my 2 cocktails in at the water park, drank them, felt good, fell asleep for 30 more minutes, and went back to reading my book. And then I just rode around the lazy river like 3 times. It was an amazing day. I had a great time. I have no regrets about anything I did that day. Love it. Wish I could go back and do it again. But I'm still thinking about the fact that I spent $40 fucking on 2 cocktails. And what the fuck, man? What is happening to our world? It's just crazy. And I understand, like, some people are like, well, they want to price alcohol high at theme parks and stadiums and sporting events and shit because they want to discourage people from drinking too much because they want to keep the atmosphere family friendly and bullshit. They just want your money and they know you'll pay for it. They get you trapped in this place and they know you'll fucking pay whatever they put on that board. And if you really want it, you'll whip out your wallet. That's all there is to it. I don't want to hear any conspiracies. It just is what it is. They know they can get away with it. They're testing the boundaries. If the whole world balked and said, I'm not paying that, and sales plummeted, they'd drop prices. But clearly people are going, $17 for a cocktail, eh? You motherfuckers, as they whip out their Amex Platinum. You just know. It's what's happening. So anyway, that's it for what I've been, quote unquote, eating this week. Just gotta, And now my girlfriend's back in town, and I had to admit that to her because I felt so guilty about it. I had to admit that to her. Like, I spent $40 while you were gone on 2 drinks. And, yeah, now, and it just serves as a nice reminder. It's like, oh yeah, that's why we like almost never, like even at like restaurants. I just don't drink at restaurants. I don't drink anywhere. It's like I drink, if I'm gonna drink alcohol, it's like at home. I can't afford it. Can't justify it anywhere else. Pack your refrigerator full of a couple Molson lagers. Watch some hockey. That's all you need. $10, 6-pack, $10. That's all you need. All right, guys, that's it for what I've been eating. Let's move on to what it is I've been playing Marvel Midnight Suns, I'm still picking at it. I'm still dabbling in it. I spent most of my weekend really not playing games. I could have, should have. I spent most of my weekend just honestly watching YouTube and reading. That was just kind of what I was feeling. So I played a little bit of Midnight Suns. I don't have anything to say about it. I'm really enjoying that game. I am worried that because of how big of a game it is that I won't finish it, but I really want to finish this game. I like it a lot. It's definitely good enough that it's something I wouldn't mind spending 40, 50 hours with. But that's that. The thing I really want to talk to you about, Tuesday night, I come home from work. Oh boy. I want to play Sonic Generations. All right, so Sonic X Shadow Generations, like I said, if you got the $60 version of the game, if you got the special sexy dollar version of the game, you get to play it a little early. So I did that because I'm an idiot and I love Sonic. And boy, oh boy, my expectations for this game, because, you know, everyone said the same thing. Sonic Generations does not need a remake. My expectations for this game were like, as long as the new Shadow stuff, because so it's like they remade Sonic Generations and then they're adding a new campaign, a new second game basically in it, where it's like Shadow, it's like Sonic Generations, but just for Shadow's history, where you play all these like completely reimagined versions of Shadow levels from Sonic games throughout the years. And my expectations for this is, as long as this is like 2 hours of brand new levels and original content, I'll be happy with it. Because I'm that much of a Sonic fan, I don't give a shit. I'm so starved for more Sonic, more 3D Sonic levels at any chance I can get them, that I don't care. It's like the same thing with Call of Duty Zombies. Like, I would pay $70 a year for just a new map pack of Zombies maps and nothing else. Like, that's, keep your campaign, keep your multiplayer. I don't give a shit. Actually, that's not true. I love the campaigns and the multiplayer. Keep your Advanced Warfare and your Infinite Warfare and your Modern Warfare, and just give me more Zombies, give me more Black Ops. It's kind of the same thing, but my expectations were so low for this. I was just going to buy it anyway because I'm an idiot and I love Sonic. And then I see the reviews starting to come out. I'm like, oh, this is one of those like once in a decade kind of Sonic games where everyone is on the same page that this is good shit. And it's getting phenomenal reviews. I'm like, okay, it must be a really high quality, like 2 or 3 hours of like extra like Shadow the Hedgehog content. Come to find out, people are saying it's like 5 hours of like this original game all about Shadow the Hedgehog, in addition to this remaster of Sonic Generations. So now I'm really fucking hyped. So I get home from work, I pop this bitch in, and that's, I say that metaphorically because of course I downloaded it. I'm not an idiot. So I boot this game up and oh my God, dude. I haven't played this Sonic Generations part of it because I've beaten Sonic Generations maybe a fucking 100 times between Xbox 360 and Xbox One. But I just jumped straight into the Shadow the Hedgehog thing. First of all, so many cinematics, so much voice acting. They have this whole hub world that's similar to the Sonic Generations hub world, but it's all in 3D. So it's like even more interactive and explorative. And there's like collectibles and things you can do in the hub world. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Sonic Unleashed or something? Like, they put so much effort into this. And then on top of that, you know, the big fear of any Sonic fan is 3D Sonic levels have been so hit or miss throughout the years. You know, you got like Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors and Sonic Unleashed in particular, where the level design was like peak 10 out of 10 God tier. Then you got games like Sonic Forces, which was like a huge disappointment, or Sonic Lost World, which is like, this is experimental, what is this? And then you get like Sonic Frontiers, which came out 2 years ago, where the game was fucking awesome, but those cyberspace levels that were supposed to be like classic 3D Sonic levels were kind of underwhelming. The controls just didn't feel quite right, and the levels were kind of like just reused assets and a little uninspired. They weren't bad, but they weren't incredible by any means, and it was just like, whatever. But dude, Shadow Generations, this feels like a from the ground up, really well thought out, brand new 3D Sonic game where you play as Shadow the Hedgehog. And it is phenomenal. And I gotta say, I hate Shadow. I think Shadow is like, he's the only Sonic character I truly despise. I think he's so fucking cringy. I hate, growing up in the early 2000s when Shadow the Hedgehog was like super popular and it was all about like, oh, he's like edgy and he's cool and he's got a gun and he's dark and he's brooding. I was like, I fucking hate that. It's like, it was like the video game equivalent of like when you told someone you loved emo music and you were talking about Sunny Day Real Estate and they're like, oh, so like Breaking Benjamin and Evanescence? And it's like, no, you don't fucking understand what I'm talking about at all, do you? That's how I feel about Shadow the Hedgehog. It's like, I love Sonic the Hedgehog. And people are like, oh, Shadow's so cool. I'm like, ugh. Shadow's the one thing about Sonic I don't like. So trust me when I say like I'm not here for the story. I think the whole like Shadow, like on the Ark, the ultimate life form, the fucking Dr. Eggman's the granddad and his little niece girl that gets shot by the U.S. government. I think that stuff is laughably cringe. I think it's laughably anime and fucking weird as hell in Japanese. And when Sonic tries to get weird with like real life humans, it just doesn't work. Don't do it. It's weird. I hate it. But I'm not here for any of that. I am here for the gameplay. I'm here for the level design. And oh my fucking God, did they deliver. These levels are superb. It's not like Sonic Forces where there's no level variety and it's just run straight until you hit the finish line. There is so much verticality. There's so many branching pathways, so many really cool gimmicks and tricks and level ideas. It's like in this level, you have this mechanic, and in this level, you do this thing. Like, it's so awesome. Just in the first level alone, it goes fucking Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, where like you're just running down this hallway and then like this enemy comes in and the whole like reality breaks and the level starts like spinning upside down and twisting you into a different dimension, and then you're falling and you're like falling and dodging all these obstacles, and then like you land on the ground, and then it's like, okay, jump on this rail and grind over to the next platform, but you can jump off the rail and go down this path and take that alternate route instead, and it's all just happening at like a blissful speed, and you're just like, holy shit, this is so cool. It's like Sonic Unleashed level design again, where it's like thought out and complex, but fun and intuitive, and you pick it up and it's going at lightning speed, but at the same time, it's like fast enough that you feel like you're going crazy fast, but just well, I don't even know how to say it, like the levels are just well appointed enough that in a split second, you could be like, oh, that's a branching path, let me just jump there, or oh, that's a shortcut, let me just try to grind that rail, or oh, if I homie attack that box, I can get over to that platform and that will save me 3 seconds of the level. And I love that classic, especially in 3D Sonic, but in all Sonic in general, where it's so fun, where it's like you're just trying to go as fast as possible and you're trying to keep that momentum and not let any enemy or obstacle or platforming challenge prevent you from maintaining your momentum and speed. But at the same time, it's like a racing game where you're constantly like, what is the fastest way to the finish line? How can I jump past this? How can I avoid going that route? How can I get there faster to get an S rank, to get 2 seconds off my runtime and all this stuff? And that's, to me, that's the beauty of Sonic the Hedgehog. It's super fun 3D character platforming, which is my favorite genre ever, paired with racing. And it's like, oh man, it's like, what if Mario, but you just gotta fucking get so, it's like Guitar Hero a little bit, right? Where like you play the same song over and over and over again until you kind of master it, and then you can kind of play it without thinking. And that's a Sonic level. It's like you play it so much to the point where it's like, even though you're going so fast, you have the level kind of memorized, so you know, avoid that pit, go that way, that path is faster than that path. This, if you get this power up, you can use that light ring dash there and it will save you 2 seconds. And it's just like you just memorize the pathways and the techniques and the controls, and you master it to the point where it's like, you know, speed trials. It's like first it was just about completing the level, and now it's about trying to break my record of how fast I can get through the level, and all while doing that with really intense, unique level design. And I love this shit, man. They got remade levels from Sonic Adventure 2, from Sonic Forces, from Sonic Heroes, Railway Canyon from Sonic Heroes. That's a really pleasant surprise to see that. Super fun level. I'm just loving it so far. So I want to get back to this, finish it up before I really get into Call of Duty this weekend. But Sonic X Shadow Generations, so far, it has blown past my expectations. Sonic is really on a run. Sonic Frontiers was really good in 2022. Sonic Superstars last year was really good. Shadow Generations, really good. Like, we're just fucking killing it over here in Sonic World. And then, of course, it's the year of Shadow, where we got that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie coming out in December. The only other thing I'll say about it is this is very much Sega's way of saying, like, hey, we can do Super Mario 3D World as well, right? Nintendo said, hey, how do we get Super Mario 3D World onto the Switch without it seeming like some hackney cheap port of a Wii U game? And they said, well, we'll do that Bowser's Fury kind of like additional game that gets packed in with this. And that's exactly what this is. It's like, we want to remake or remaster Sonic Generations and sell it for $60, but we can't do that on its own. We can't justify it. So what can we do? And they're like, well, let's make some separate spin-off Shadow the Hedgehog game and package it in and sell it that way. And boy, did they fucking deliver. I would say, and this isn't a crazy thing to say, because I would have said this about Sonic Generations 10 years ago. I guess that game's like 13 years old now. It came out in 2011. I would have said this 13 years ago, and I would say it still now. If someone's like, hey, I've never played a Sonic the Hedgehog game in my life, what should I play? even though my personal favorite is Sonic Unleashed, even though there are plenty of games I like more than Sonic Generations, I like Sonic Colors more, I would recommend to anyone who's never played a Sonic game or who hasn't played Sonic in a long time, Sonic Generations, and now Sonic Generations X Shadow, this version of it in particular, is the best starting point. Play this. If you do not like this game, don't worry about the rest of the franchise. Just don't even fucking touch it. But this game, this is what Sonic can and should be. Can be and should be. But yeah, I fucking love it. So super stoked about that. Cannot wait to get back to that. But that's it for what I've been playing. You guys, take a quick water break and hop into the news. All right, let's just jump back in, starting with this news. Really all there is to talk about is that Xbox partner preview from last week. It's just not much of a news week. And you'll remember, well, maybe you'll remember, last week I was like, oh yeah, and tomorrow there'll be an Xbox partner preview. Trust me, nothing's going to come out of this. I was half right. Like, it wasn't like a huge deal, anything they showed, but it was more substantial than I expected, to be completely honest and fair. Yeah, they showed some cool games. So I guess we'll just kind of go through them. Thankfully, Xbox Wire just put together this really nice little list of everything announced, and we can just kind of go down that list and talk about a little of everything they showed. I didn't watch the showcase. I have such a low tolerance these days for this kind of stuff, where it's like, if you don't have like a serious showcase to put together, it's like I'd rather just like see the announcements I'm interested in and kind of move on otherwise. Not to be disrespectful to all the smaller games that get spotlighted at these kinds of events. I'm just not always in the mood for like watching 12 trailers for like indie Metroidvania games and then like some VR game that's not anything I'll ever play, and then, you know, one update on a game I already knew existed, something like that. So I don't know, I'm usually not that crazy about it, but let's just go into this. So starting off with one of the bigger ones, they showed Alan Wake 2, the Lake House expansion. Now this has already been announced, and actually as the time you're listening to this, this is already available. It's already out now on Xbox. Came out on the 22nd of October. But they showed some more gameplay of the Alan Wake, the Lake House, second expansion of Alan Wake 2. And this is the expansion. This is the expansion that connects the Control universe to the Alan Wake universe in a more substantial way. People who've seen this and checked it out are saying really good things about it. Apparently, it's pretty fucking cool. I got to get to this. I loved Alan Wake 2 so much. I love Remedy games in general. So obviously, this is going to be something I'm definitely going to want to check out. But you play as, I forget their name, but a new character, and this helps control like the AWE events to like the Alan Wake universe. And so obviously, if you're someone who's already invested in these games, this is going to be a must play, a core part of the experience, which I kind of hate that's being put behind a DLC paywall and not like a proper game. But at the same time, I don't fucking care. Whatever gets us to more of this stuff, it's all great. Remedy are truly, truly great. But I don't have too much to say about this because it is just, you know, important DLC, but it's DLC for a game that's been out for a year now, and it speaks to a pretty limited audience. So did it look great? Yeah, but it's out now, and if it's something you're interested in, you're probably already checking it out. But that was that. Remedy's going to come back, but they're going to have something way more substantial to talk about that I think is just more interesting because of how different and new it is. All right, next up, Animal Well is now on Xbox. So this is that indie game published by Big Mode, which is actually Video Game Donkey, the YouTuber Video Game Donkey. This is his publishing arm that published this. I forget the name of the developer that made it. But it is that this game got a lot of praise when it came out earlier in the year. I think it's on PlayStation and Switch and PC, and now it's on Xbox. But it's this puzzly Metroidvania style indie game. Listen, I'm sure it is great. I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just, you know, I had no interest in this game earlier in the year when it wasn't on Xbox, and I have no interest for it now. It got phenomenal reviews and lots of praise. Apparently it's gruelingly hard, and it just... Okay, wow. All right, we're back. I just... the Audacity crashed. It said I was out of storage, and then... Whatever, I had to clear some stuff up. I did not know my hard drive was out of space. This is why you don't game on PC, guys, okay? Halo Master Chief Collection, it's taking up a lot of storage on your PC. All right, we'll get back into it. Wow, I genuinely just thought I lost the entire podcast. I'm very, very, very grateful I had a backup that I was able to recover. Otherwise, I'd be a very salty boy right now. But anyway, let's move back into it. So where were we? So we just talked about Animal Well. Let's move on to the next game. So this is kind of where it starts to get interesting, in my opinion. Audacity, you're staying fucking in a part. Yeah, you're staying in a partitioned window because I'm not keeping my eyes off you. All right, next up was Blind Fire. So this is a new first-person shooter game. Its whole gimmick is that it's like set in the dark. It's this new game that just released in Xbox Game Preview by this developer called Double 11. And so, yeah, it was announced for a game preview and shown at this showcase. And the whole gimmick, it's not like it's pitch black dark, but you're in like a dark arena and you use like various environmental lighting or like shadowy figures as reflections from other light sources, or this like echo locating feature where you're able to like get sensor readings of like, I guess, heat signatures or sound signatures in your area. And you use that to like locate your enemies and fight them. What's really weird about this game is it looks kind of like Perfect Dark Zero from the Xbox 360, like running in VR with like modern game sensibilities where everything looks all like cool and dope. You know, it's got like that Ubisoft flair to it where it's like graffiti and like guys with hats on because they're French and all that, you know. But it looks kind of cool. My only thing about it is it does look like one of those games, and I hope this makes sense. It looks like it maybe controls a little rough. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know. It looks interesting. Just nothing like I'm crazy excited or hyped about, but I appreciate it. It's different. It's something interesting. It adds some variety to the showcase. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then next, Bluebird Team comes up. Now, Bluebird Team, these guys are known in the Xbox world for that early Xbox Series game, the Medium, which came out at the beginning of the generation. But they just released a very well-received remake for PlayStation exclusively of Silent Hill 2. And so they're all like, hey, we know that we've had like kind of a checkered past. People have thought our games are kind of shit, but we're all about high quality games now. Now that people like our new Silent Hill 2 remake, we're going back to making some some of our own projects, but like we're going at it with a care and an attempt to do something super high quality. So the new game is called Chronos: The New Dawn. It is a third-person survival horror game. Really, I don't know how else to put it, but it looks cool. It's all sci-fi. I love sci-fi shit. So it's a little Dead Space influence there. So the trailer shows these guys and they're playing chess, and in between it, showing like the strategic moves of chess and all that, and then like cuts to like this guy trying to fight these undead zombie space things that looks like Dead Space. Game takes place in 1980s communist Poland. And just, I don't know, looks European, looks weird, looks cool. So I not too much gameplay, but at the very end it shows this guy walking through kind of a linear pathway, and then these like undead creatures kind of pop out, and I don't know, it looks like it's got good tone, good atmosphere. As someone who likes Dead Space and the Callisto Protocol, I feel like this is kind of in a similar vein. So it's like, hey, Bluebird Team is trying their hand at that style of horror game. I'm all for it. Something that's a little less Resident Evil inspired and a little more Dead Space inspired. I'll take it. Comes to Xbox sometime next year. No specific release date, but we'll keep an eye on that. It looks okay. Next up, Eden's Zero comes to Xbox. These ones were just going to kind of like blow through. So based on the Mashima manga and anime series of the same name, Eden Zero is the third-person action game that saw the world premiere during the Xbox Showcase, a unique sci-fi universe and manga where you'll take hero Shiki Granbell across the universe in search of the cosmic entity, whatever. This game's coming out in 2025. It looks like Zach Bell meets fucking Dragon Ball Z, and it's an anime game, but Xbox needs Japanese support, so I'm very much in support of these kinds of games coming to the platform, although this is nothing I would nothing that would fancy my, I already got Sonic. What more do you want from me, okay? I'm doing my part. And then after that, they showed Eternal Strands, which is a Game Pass game. It's available now in Game Pass. It's a systemic action RPG, as they put it, from the team of developers who worked on Dragon Age, Assassin's Creed, and more. So it's like a Western-style RPG. This game actually looks pretty cool. It's definitely like there are too many games right now to play this, but it looks cool. It comes out in early 2025. It will be a day one Game Pass game. And yeah, I mean, I think this game has some flair. It's got typical like Westerns. Well, not typical. Let me actually back up. It looks like a Western style RPG that's deeply influenced and inspired by anime and some Japanese role playing games and stuff. So from that perspective, it's actually quite unique what we're seeing here. But it's got some Zelda Breath of the Wild influence. Some what's that game called? Freaking Eco Trilogy, Shadow of the Colossus. It's like scaling monsters and using like energy to like pick up objects. It looks very Zelda Breath of the Wild, but then it looks a little anime and weeby and RPG like, with some like combat and the movement and the leveling up and things like that. So this game looks, I don't know, like a hodgepodge of things. If you like action games, if you like role-playing games, if you like adventure games, three of the vaguest things you could say about a video game, then maybe this game is up your alley. But definitely very Zelda, I'd say, inspired for the most part. But early 2025, day one Game Pass game, it looks all right. All right, next up is the game that I think really looks cool. This is the game that most piqued my interest. So we circle back to Remedy, and now they announce a new game. A game we knew they were working on, but this is the first time we really heard about it. It's been given a name, and we've seen it. So FBC Firebreak, a co-op control spin-off game, was revealed. Remedy, known for single-player games, single third-person play action video games, going in a different direction with FBC Firebreak. We brought you the world. This is Xbox Wire. We brought you the world first look at the spin-off game from beloved Control, first-person multiplayer PvE game, placing you in the ranks of the Federal Bureau of Control's agents. Take on the horrors of the oldest house using a variety of appropriately weird weaponry in this exciting co-op experience. FBC Outbreak or Firebreak arrives in 2025 and is a day one Game Pass game. Fuck yeah. This game looks great. I think it looks super cool. So I think it must be said. Remedy, they did that Crossfire X campaign for Smilegate, a few years ago, and everyone hated it. First-person shooter, maybe not their forte, but I think they have what it takes. I think especially if they're doing their own game and, it's their name on the line, it's their product and everything, I think they have what it takes to pivot. We've seen crazier things in recent years with, like, the Killzone guys making fucking Horizon stuff, so it can be done. But yes, is it weird to see these guys that make third-person action, story-driven single-player games do a co-op first-person shooter PvE game? Yeah. But I love that they were, right off the bat, they're like, this isn't some multiplayer, massively online game with evolving this and that and buy this and all that. They're like, it's not like that. This is a game you play with your buddies. It's story-driven. It's single, you can play by yourself. You can play with your friends. But it's like Left 4 Dead, basically. It's basically like, what if the guys that made Control and Alan Wake made a Left 4 Dead game, and it's all weird, and it's got all that European influence that we're used to seeing in their games, and this game just looks so fucking cool. Yeah, does the first-person shooting look maybe like a little rough? Kind of reminds me of Redfall. It looks like it has like a kind of Arcane-style feel to like the first-person combat. But it's awesome. Like, they're in like these ridiculous, it's all in the first house, which is the setting of Control, the video game. But they're going into these rooms and going into these crazy settings, underwater mines and fucking blue blobbly insides of some monster's belly and like the depths of hell. And they're fighting hordes of enemies and stuff. And it really just looks like, what if we made a Left 4 Dead game in the universe of a Alan Wake or a Control video game. And it's fucking awesome. The rocket launcher that shoots gnomes that explode with nukes and just all this weird ass shit looks really cool. So this is definitely a Jesse game. Love Left 4 Dead, love Remedy, love these kinds of co-op, like point A to point B kind of objective multiplayer fun games. And I got nothing to say. Am I a little apprehensive about whether or not they'll be able to pull off some really high quality first person shooting? Yeah, sure. But if they're able to pull that off, the feel of the first-person shooter, I think this game's going to be awesome. I'm excited to see more of this. And they can float and do gravitational jumps and things like that, and it just looks fucking ridiculous. They fight all types of ridiculous enemies, these lava creature monsters, whacking them with axes, shooting them with machine guns, shooting gnomes at them, and they got this one gun that's like a propulsion gun. They shoot at the ground to push them up, and I love this shit. I want this game. I'm excited for this game. This is the game from this showcase. I'm like, fuck yeah. Cronky writes in and says, did you see FBC Firebreak? It makes me so sad to know that Remedy is about to make an awesome co-op shooter that's going to flop so hard on their financial future that it will be put in jeopardy. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm a little concerned about Remedy. They keep getting more and more in bed with like Tencent and shit to get more funding, and apparently Alan Wake 2 like hasn't made a profit yet. And that's the thing I hate so much, man. This is just an unfortunate part of how these things go. You can be as good as Remedy, make the games they make, and just not get mainstream success and just not do well and not be a huge name. People in the industry, they know Remedy, but people in general, they don't, you can't ask your coworker, dude, Remedy's putting out a new game. You see that new Alan Wake 2? They'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I know about Elden Ring, I know about Fortnite, and I know about that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory game from 2005 for PlayStation 2. And that's like the only 3 games anyone knows these days. But it's just, I don't know, man. It's disheartening because Remedy just doesn't fucking miss. They just, when they work on a game, they put out god tier content. Quantum Break, I don't know what to say for you, Quantum Break. You were an amazing game. You deserved a better audience. I can't say anything else than that. And yeah, do I feel like this game is probably going to be a game that flops and does some financial harm to them? Oh, absolutely. It's a huge risk. I hope we're wrong. I hope it pays off. I hope this is like Remedy's Apex Legends moment. I doubt it. Next up, The Legend of Bamboo was shown. I'm not going to waste time on this. I'm sorry, guys. Again, action adventure set across magical islands. I don't know, man. It looks okay. It's just, this is the kind of stuff where I'm like, I don't know. What am I supposed to make of this? It's like a Zelda indie kind of thing, and I'm sure it's fine. It looks like Avatar The Last Airbender meets Zelda Skyward Sword. Not Skyward Sword. What's the one everyone likes? Fucking the ones on Switch. The Switch ones. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're at that point now where it's been a long enough time since Breath of the Wild that we're starting to see a lot of games that are clearly inspired by that game, and that's awesome. And I'm sure we'll get some really great games as a result of that, but this is just Then we saw another look at that new Yakuza like a pirate, like a dragon game, the Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. So they show off a new release date. They moved up the release date, so now it's February 21st. And then they showed some more gameplay of that, but this game was just announced a few weeks ago, and we already saw a bunch of it, so I'm not going to get into that. Obviously, it looks ridiculous and wacky and fun. I love Yakuza. I wish I was caught up on the series because I love to play this early, but yeah, it's just, there's so much Yakuza, but it looks great. Then they show Mistfall Hunter mixes Souls-like and extraction game. So, I mean, again, here's a new Souls-like extraction shooter. It's just, oh my God. It's like, who, why? This is like fucking AI made a video game. It's like, AI, make me a game using the most popular games out there. It's like, I've made a Souls-like Bloodborne action shooter for PC extraction shooter game by Bungie, LLC. It's like, okay, what do? It's like, I don't know, anime guy, dark mythology, swords, blood, dragon, monster creatures, eldritch, pottery barn, fucking furniture everywhere. I don't know. Not pottery barn. You know what I mean? They got like the urns, the Grecian urns, and the fucking, the fires and the pits, and you knock it over and you make a campfire and then you hit them with the rock and there's a pebble and the monster looks kind of like a ghoul and a goblin and a rock god all rolled into one and you gotta fight him. And it's like, okay, someone out there has time for every single one of these games. I don't even have energy to think about one of them. Let's move on. Mouse PI for Hire. We've seen this game a lot. I feel like this game's been like shown, I feel like, for 3 years at this point or something. But game looks awesome. It's like clearly inspired by Cuphead. But it's like, yeah, what if we took Doom and did like what Cuphead did? So it's like an old school FPS shooter like Doom. But it's this like old Mickey Mouse cartoon style game where you play as this mouse detective, and it just looks actually fucking awesome. This game, the more and more we see it, the more I'm like, yeah, this game looks really phenomenal, really, really cool. It looks like it has more to it than just running around and shooting. There's an investigative angle to it, piecing together a story. There's actual narrative to it, and so it looks like the game's got like some depth to it, more beyond just its gunplay. But this game looks really, really interesting, really unique. I appreciate it. As someone who loves boomer shooters and stuff like that, having something that's like Cuphead level aesthetic, but for like a Doom shooter, cool. And it comes out next year, so I will play that. They advertise it for Xbox. I think it is a Game Pass game. Actually, no, it doesn't say Game Pass. But yeah, comes out next year for PC and Xbox Series X. Very much looks like a wonderful game. Next up, they announced Phasmophobia is coming to Xbox this month on October 29th. This is a popular game that was, well, it was a popular PC game. I don't know if it's currently popular, but popular multiplayer game on PC where you fucking hunt spirits and stuff. My girlfriend used to play this game a lot. I don't know what happened to this game. I feel like no one talks about it anymore, but I guess better late than never, but it's on Xbox now. You can get with your friends and you hunt ghosts and stuff. And yeah, it's one of those like really like fun, like, kind of like social games. It's like the game you play with the guys one night just to have some laughs and goof around, and, you know. But it's not like the serious game. I feel like it's kind of like a Dead by Daylight kind of thing. It's just a horror casual fun game. There's like a subgenre for this shit now. But yeah, it's coming to Xbox. Cool. Available in more places. Good for everyone. And then next, Subnautica 2. They announced its day one Game Pass and its early access in 2025. And they show a new trailer for Subnautica 2. Again, underwater crafting survival. I'm not trying to be a boomer. Listen, I love games. I think games are the best place they've ever been. There are tons of great games coming out all the time. But it's like, what do you, survival, crafting, all this stuff. I can't feign any enthusiasm for this. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm not saying it's a good game. I'm just saying what do you want me to say? And then they showed Wheel World. It's a previously known as Ghost Bike. It's been renamed to Wheel World. Game Pass game launching in early 2025. This game looks interesting. It's a biking, racing, and exploration game. Has that like Dungeons of Hinterberg style art style that you see a lot in these indie games. What the fuck? I don't know how to describe that art style, but this game, it's interesting. It's cool. It's unique. It's like you race and you go from point A to point B, but then when you're not in races, you also, there's like a social aspect to it, and you get to like fucking roam around and do things and make friends, I guess, and explore the world and collect shit. It's very weird, this cross-section of like games that have objectives and then social elements being injected into those games, like Persona. Very different, but I know it's a way to add a lot of depth to these kinds of games that could otherwise be pretty surface level. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's coming to Game Pass again. It's just like, what do you want me to do? Like, feign excitement for this stuff. It doesn't look bad, but it's like, what? And then I think the last game they showed was Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. I mean, you can't fucking like make this shit up. Wukong Fallen something. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. Mo Yang Fallen Friends. It's like, what the fuck do you want from me? You even name the games the same shit. So come on, man. I'm not doing this. So it's another Souls-like fucking game. It looks like all the Souls-like ancient Chinese something mythology, Grecian urns, blood, swords, fire pits, fight, win, die, whatever. I don't give a shit. Do what you want. I'm going to be playing Black Ops like a fucking boomer. You guys go play your Wu Chang. But that's really it. I mean, that was the showcase. I just don't want to make too much out of these things. It's like when Xbox really has something exciting to talk about, I want to get excited about it. Game Awards, summer showcases, sometimes a little bit of Gamescom, whatever. But like, it's just, these things are nice. It's nice to have a time and place in these smaller events to be able to showcase your indies and your third parties and give them the spotlight, because there's so many games out there, and it's nice to have someone at Xbox who's like, let's curate a list of some upcoming second party and indies that we really believe in. And I love it from that perspective, but these just aren't anything for me to really get hyped about or interested in. And I gotta be real. I know it makes for boring podcasting, but like, yeah, Mouse PI looks good. That new game from Remedy looks good. What do you want from me? All right, let's round out the news with just a quick update. So EA Sports FC 2025 topped the charts in the US for software sales last month, according to Circana, the research firm. The game saw double-digit percentage growth compared to last year's EA Sports FC 24, which launched the same month last year, proving that, yeah, EA did not need the FIFA license. FIFA needed EA's games to sell that shit, because they're doing just fine without FIFA. I'm sure they're thrilled with that. Aside from that, PS5's exclusive Astrobot debuted at number 2 last month in best-selling games for North America. And then we also had Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom at number 4, NBA 2K25 at number 7, Warhammer Space Marine 2 at number 18. I think, what was it? Star Wars Outlaws was at like 6 or 7. So a couple of games, notable games from last year or last month, making this top 20 list. NHL 25 was at the number 9 spot, as was Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection at number 16. So as for hardware, PlayStation 5 remained the top-selling console in both units sold and dollar sales, but Xbox did better than Nintendo in terms of dollar sales, and Switch did better in units sold. It's because there are more people buying Series S and X than Switch Lite, which is cheaper. They make more money off those, but there are more Switches overall being sold. Digital PS5 consoles now account for 18% of the platform's total life to date in sales, and Xbox Series X sales now make up the majority of Xbox Series console sales in the US. That is huge. That is a huge notable thing. That means Xbox Series S sales must have come to a fucking screeching halt for Xbox Series X sales to now be the majority of Xbox consoles sold in the US. That's a really, really big deal. I think what that says is that, well, it's really interesting. I actually wonder what we're supposed to glean off of that, because always, it's the cheaper one sells. My guess is that what that tells us is that Xbox is becoming more and more of a niche product where only like Xbox fans are interested in it, because if it's kind of a more niche product, it's not a niche product, but if it's more of a secondary or third place kind of product, it's going to appeal more to a very specific fan base. And the fan base of Xbox fans are always going to go for the best one on the market. Whereas if your product has mainstream success like PlayStation does, and you're selling way more consoles to everyday people who just want to have a video game console, more than you're selling to like PlayStation fans, then yeah, you're always going to sell the cheapest box because people just got to have a way to play the games. They don't care which one they have. But if your console is mostly just selling to this specific market of fans of this brand, then yeah, you're probably going to sell mostly the more, boutique or expensive or high-end version of that console. But this is a big deal. I actually don't know what to make of this, especially because some of those best bundles, like that college football bundle, were for Series S's, were they not? So people are willing to put down some money for the best Xbox. I wonder if the news of the PlayStation 5 Pro drove a lot of people who were holding off to be like, nah, fuck it, I'll just get Xbox. Also, could this have something to do with Call of Duty Black Ops coming to Game Pass? That, I think, very possible. I'm very, very interested to see what the hardware sales look like next month once Black Ops 6 has been on the market and people can get Xbox and play Call of Duty there. Very excited to see what happens. Total U.S. consumer spending on game hardware, content, and accessories in September fell 6% year over year to $4.38 billion, driven by a 44% drop in hardware spending and a 3% dip in content. It's a huge drop. Year-to-date consumer spending is flat year over year at $40.67 billion. Well, last year I feel like was a bigger year for games anyway. All right, guys, let's round out with a couple quick important enough news stories. Stories important enough to make the podcast, but not important enough to warrant their own discussion. Ubisoft has reportedly disbanded the Prince of Persia Lost Crown team. Many of the team have been moved to other teams, not necessarily laid off, but the team that made Prince of Persia The Lost Crown, the Prince of Persia 2D game that came out earlier this year, no more. That's unfortunate. Next up, VGC says that Blizzard's announced a Warcraft 30th anniversary stream taking place November 13th and billed as an online celebration of World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, and Warcraft Rumble. Viewable on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok, the presentation will start at 1 p.m. Eastern. The stream will be followed by a World of Warcraft 20th anniversary concert broadcast. So a big celebration of that brand. Next up, from Pure Xbox, it seems we've finally gotten an update on a Xbox version of Black Myth Wukong. A rating for the Xbox version has been sponsored by the ASRB and hopefully means we might get a release date soon. So it was rated teen. Next up, VGC reports 2K Studios' 31st Union has revealed a Project Ethos, a new free-to-play third-person roguelike hero shooter made by a new team comprised of former Sledgehammer game veterans known for their Call of Duty work. Shape your playstyle every match through evolution powerful, semi-randomized upgrades unique to each hero, reads the description of the game. Evolve a sniper into a close-range skirmish or a support role into a powerful lone wolf. Build your hero in real time to support your personal playstyle. A community playtest is available from October 17th to 20th, so it's over in select countries. And next up, Tencent will launch Delta Force's open beta for PC on December 5th. The beta will be available globally on its official launcher on Steam and Epic Game Store, with a console and mobile version of the tactical FPS being scheduled for release in the first quarter of next year. Finally, Monster Hunter Wilds is getting an open beta, and you can play it. But they're getting, I guess, PlayStation, now that they don't have Call of Duty anymore exclusively, they're going to do that bullshit with Monster Hunter. So if you have PlayStation, you can play it one weekend early exclusively with this open beta. And then if you're on Xbox, you can play the second weekend along with PlayStation and PC people on Thursday, October 31st, which why would you play this on Halloween, through Sunday, November 3rd. So next weekend, you'll be able to have a long weekend with Monster Hunter Wilds, and you don't need to buy it or anything. It's just free. Anyone can join in and play this beta. So there is that. Guys, that's going to do it for all of our news this week. Now it is time to get to the best and last podcast section of this podcast. Comments, shoutouts, comments, questions, comments. I always say comments, questions, whatever. Really, it's just comments. People just write stuff in. They just make observations and say shit, and then we move on because no one really writes in questions. We get questions. Very few relative to the number of comments. We just get people saying shit. Hey, Jesse, I'm eating Taco Bell. My toes are long. I have toenails when I clip my toes. And sometimes my kid has chicken pox. Notice how adults don't have chicken pox? Why don't people have chicken pox these days? Is chicken pox made up? You know? And that is a good question. That's a good write-in. You know, it makes us think. Because I do feel like people don't talk about chicken pox anymore. Is that just because I don't hang out with children? I just feel like I don't hear about chicken pox these days. They kill that shit. They got rid of that. We got rid of that. Anyway, youtube.com, Xbox On Podcast, latest episode of the show, and leave any comment you want on the latest episode. I'll read it on the show. You can insult me. You can be nice. You can be mean. You can be somewhere in between. Don't do the hate speech shit. Don't do like the making fun of other commenters. That stuff doesn't fly. We don't do that. We don't do that. A couple people are lately doing like the woke gaming, anti-gay. We're not doing that. Don't be a fucking idiot, okay? Weird people, dude. I don't know. I don't understand why gaming is such like a fucking silo for like these just completely unhinged like it's like these fucking guys that have like no political or social outlet, and then they just become these like deranged people on the internet. They're just like, video games are woke. It's like, dude, video games are a form of entertainment. Maybe Shadow the Hedgehog isn't black like the African American black, and maybe he's just a black furred anthropomorphic hedgehog. And maybe by Shadow the Hedgehog being a character, Sega isn't woke. Maybe they're just making a fucking video game. Can you calm the fuck down? None of those comments. A lot of people, if you have the urge to write one of those comments like, Halo went woke, fuck Halo, fuck Xbox, like, just go spit in your fucking Mountain Dew can and kill yourself. Okay? We're going to move on with the rest of the world and talk about things that matter. Like, I don't know, Fedimist, who writes in and says, I listen to this podcast while I'm grinding agility in RuneScape. There's a normal comment. There's a normal thing for an adult man, a 40-year-old plus man to say that he plays RuneScape and grinds agility while his kids scream in the background for him to change the diaper that he refuses to change because he's training agility. He doesn't really have time for that kind of thing at the moment, but he'll get to it when it's convenient for him. Thank you, Fedimist. Go grind your agility. Hey, I know a way we could, sharpen our agility by grinding, if you know what I'm fucking, Jason Wilson writes in and says, I'm at my wit's end with Xbox controllers. I've gone through speaking of that, this didn't make the podcast. Yeah, they released that new Xbox headset. It's like $10 more than the old one. It's the same headset, but slightly refined, and it comes with Dolby Atmos. Who gives a shit? Go buy it. I don't care. Who fucking cares? Jason Wilson says, at my wit's end with Xbox controllers. I've gone through countless controllers, and the thumbsticks always seem to wear out faster than a pair of sneakers. I've considered scuff gaming controllers, but they are mixed on reviews and have me second guessing. Any recommendations for a controller that can withstand my gaming onslaught? That's interesting, Jason. I've never considered a scuff gaming controller because they're expensive, and my understanding is that they're for like pro online MLG type gamers. But I do have a very similar experience to you, where easily on Xbox controllers, the problem is that fucking those joysticks, those analog sticks, they just get fucked real fast. I have that electric Volt, whatever yellowish controller that they released early in the Xbox Series X generation, and it was such a sexy controller. And I feel like within like 8 months of owning it, the left analog stick just got fucked, and now it has this like analog stick drift. And I know there's a lot of videos online you can like. It's not too hard to open up these controllers and then just replace the analog sticks or reset, pull out and then reinstall the analog stick. And a lot of times that kind of stuff fixes it. So there's a lot that you can do to just fix the controller without having to replace it. But I don't blame you. I wish I could give you a recommendation, but I am pretty much exclusively a buy the official version kind of person. Especially when it comes to video game controllers. I don't buy off-brand anything. I'm sure there are some great third-party controllers. I know Razer makes a bunch of them. I'm sure they make some great ones. And I'm not knocking anyone. It's just that I'm not going to buy a controller for my Xbox unless it's an official Xbox controller. There are two controllers I will buy. The regular Xbox controller or the Elite Series controller, and literally nothing else. So I can't recommend one, but if someone out there has a recommendation that can throw out to Jason Wilson, let us know. Write in. Obviously, we want to help you out, Jason, if we can recommend something good to you. I just know scuff gaming controllers are super expensive. I don't know how they hold up. You would assume they'd be more durable, right? If they're made for sweaty Call of Duty competitive players, but I could be totally wrong. I don't fucking know. But great write-in. Obviously, something a lot of us, not obviously, but I assume something a lot of us deal with. I know I deal with. So you're not alone, Jason. Those analog sticks, they can be fucking weird. Cronky writes in and says, What Halloween time games is everyone playing? I've been playing Silent Hill 2 Remake on PC, and I plan on finally getting to the medium after that. So you're in a little Bloober Team kick right there, aren't you? Man, I want to play those games, I forget what they were called, that we were talking about last weekend. Those, like, indie PS1 looking fucking horror games. But honestly, Black Ops 6, Call of Duty Zombies, that's going to be my Halloween shit right now. I'm excited about the new Call of Duty. And Call of Duty Zombies, Black Ops Zombies, that shit's so Halloween. It's so appropriate. I'm excited. That's going to be for sure my thing. I told my girlfriend we'll play together, and she's like, really? You never want to play games with me? I said, don't make me look like a fucking bad guy. Sorry if I don't love the idea of looking at half of my TV screen while the other half of my TV screen is schizophrenically showing whatever the fuck you're doing. Listen, split screen is great when you're a kid. The older I get, the more I hate split screen. Split screen is an imperfect solution for kids who have a high tolerance for bullshit. But when you're an adult and you have access to your own TV and your own funds and your own ways of doing things, why the fuck would you opt for split screen? Sucks. But I love her and I'm willing to do it. And we like to play Call of Duty Zombies together. So that's my plan for between now and Halloween. But yeah, right in. That's a fun one. Halloween, obviously the best time of year. Next week we'll have a episode going live on Halloween Day. That's cool. Next week's podcast will be on Halloween. Wow. God, I fucking hate how fast it goes by. And then the day after that, or not even the day after that, honestly, go to a grocery store the evening of Halloween, and it will just immediately be crisp. You walk into a fucking Home Depot at 4 p.m. on Halloween evening, and it's just, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. And it's, man, like the trees are everywhere, and they got like all the fucking little Santa animatronics and the housing lights, and it's like, what the, can we just give it a fucking second, right? You know? It's like, I don't know, man. It's like if you're watching the news, it's like, breaking news, 3,000 more kids dead in another school shooting because who gives a shit? The kids are fucking bleeding. Their faces are broken. They're dead. Anyway, we'll be right back after this message. And then the message is like, guns are cool. Buy gunpowder. Smoke gunpowder. Shoot kids with it. I don't fucking care. Here, buy guns. It's like, don't be so fucking tone deaf, you know? It's still Halloween. I haven't even passed out all my fucking candy yet. I haven't even ordered the pizza. We haven't even watched what Paranorman or whatever Halloween-esque movie we're gonna watch. Like, come on, don't fucking ruin it for me. Don't fucking, Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus, how about you come so much that you die? Like, how about you literally ejaculate yourself to death? Because I want you, Santa Claus, to not come. In the words of Kamala Harris to Donald Trump, do not come. But Santa Claus is just like Donald Trump, and he goes, oh, I'm gonna come. And if you don't get that meme, then that joke is lost on you, but it's one of the best memes ever. But yeah, man, just come on, slow it down. Can we at least pretend Thanksgiving exists? Can we just put like even if it's like, oh, well, if you go to dude, this is it. Sorry, one anecdote and then I'll let it go. A couple of years ago at work, right? We're doing a Halloween potluck. It was my idea. I'm glad we did it. It was fun. Shut up. So we're doing a Halloween potluck. Everyone signed up to do like a different dish, and it had to be somewhat Halloween themed. So I was going to make dirt pudding. It's a classic Halloween one. It's easy, it's simple, but I fucked it up, right? You know, dirt pudding, it's like you take like the chocolate pudding and you mix it with the whipped cream, and then you put like Oreo crumbles in it, and then you put it into cups with Oreo crumbles on top and gummy worms. So it looks like a pile of like dirt with like worms sticking out of the grave and stuff. It's a fun little Halloween treat. Everyone's had it before. It's a good time. I fucked it up when I was making it the night before, and I guess I put the whipped cream in before it had fully thawed. It was still kind of frozen, so it fucked up the consistency of the pudding. It made it basically turn to water, and I was like, fuck, I can't do this. So I threw it all in the trash, and then I woke up at like 4 a.m. the next day on Halloween, and I was like, I'm gonna shoot to the 24-hour Walmart, hit it before work, buy a bunch of like Halloween cupcakes, and then go to work and be like, sorry guys, pudding got fucked, but here's a bunch of Halloween cupcakes. It's got orange and green and purple frosting, and it's got little spider rings on it, you know, like the little fun like grocery store cupcakes you buy. So that was my plan. I was going to do that, and I got to Walmart at like 5 a.m. It's like 5 a.m. and I walk into this Walmart, and there is me and like a handful of employees stocking shelves and no customers in the store. Halloween morning, 5 a.m. I go into the bakery to buy some Halloween cupcakes because you should be able to buy, I don't know, Halloween shit on Halloween Day because you're not a fucking idiot. This is America, isn't it? You fucking Walmart sells all the shit and we buy the shit and it's Halloween, so I should be able to buy shit on Halloween, right? They already got the fucking gingerbread man cookies. They got the Santa Claus gingerbread house. They got the Santa Claus, the fucking glory hole gingerbread. They got all the gingerbread types. They got the fucking green and red everywhere. All the cupcakes have little Christmas trees and elves and Grinch and all this shit. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? It's October 31st. And I'm literally, I go deeper into the bakery. I'm like, the hell? There's no Halloween cupcakes on Halloween day. And then I find a second table. I'm like, there it is. And I run over to it because I see orange frosting. And, oh, they're Thanksgiving cupcakes. They have like turkeys and leaves and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I'm like, there's got to be another display. There's got to be Halloween cupcakes in here somewhere. I turn around, I backtrack. I see a fucking employee, I shit you not, taking mounds of giant boxes of cupcakes with green and purple frosting and spiders and Halloween creepy zombie hands and shit. And this bitch is throwing the cupcakes into a giant fucking dumpster. And she's rolling this shit off. She's like, Halloween's over. Fuck it. Ho, 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 bitches. And she's rolling the cupcakes off. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I literally stopped this lady. I'm like, hey, sorry, I need Halloween cupcakes because today's October 31st, you stupid bitch. It's not December 25th. Your Apple Watch is dumb. It tells you the wrong thing. And then she's like, oh yeah, here, they're going in the trash. So grab whatever you want. And I grabbed like 24 Halloween cupcakes and just like ruined my fucking Halloween. Not really, but like jokingly ruined my Halloween. So I'm like, how, the audacity, dude. Can you imagine, like, you go to, like, you know, everything's closed on Christmas Day, but imagine if you go to, like, I don't know, there's always, like, a gas station open, right? You go to, like, the gas station on Halloween Day, or on Christmas Day, right? On Christmas morning, and you're like, forgot batteries for my son's G.I. Joe and dildo I bought him, so I gotta stop by the gas station to pick up some batteries, right? And you go in there, and the fucking dude running the gas station on Christmas morning is like, Happy Valentine's Day, and he shoots you with a fucking love arrow, and now you gotta gay marry this guy because it's Valentine's Day in his eyes, bitch. December 25th don't mean nothing to him. He's atheist. So I just can't handle it. It just drives me nuts. For the love of Christ. Just let the fucking day pass. It's like trying to bury someone like 20 minutes after they die. It's like at least drain their blood and put some makeup on them or something. I don't fucking know. Whatever. All right. Got me heated with that one, Cronky. Ariana Jones writes in again and says, haha, I'm still here. Because last week I said, oh, you probably stopped listening because I forgot to read your comment the other week. Still here, and it's still my favorite Xbox podcast, ahead of Xbox 2, and my second favorite podcast in general, behind Spears and Steinberg. Hey, I'll take it. If I'm in the top 3, if I'm in the top 5 best podcasts in your book, fucking great. Thank you. I just love funny people in general. You're part of the 1% of people who are not boring and don't copy what other people do and say. You know how to... You know how hard it is to do that? 99% of podcasters feel like I'm listening to a boring teacher in class. I don't want to feel like I'm in church. I want to feel like I'm in Def Jam comedy show in the 90s. And this podcast is just that. What's great is that you don't even have a co-host and you are still better than those who do. I get hooked on when I hear I got hooked when I heard a random episode back in June. I thought, it was just going to be a regular Xbox podcast, but that episode had to be the funniest stuff. Or had the funniest stuff. I understand you call some of your viewers' comments unhinged and random, but you're literally that, which is so funny because I don't see it coming. Comedy is really your calling, and you're not even doing it on purpose. You're just natural with it. Keep up the good comedy in this angry world full of party poopers, Debbie Downers, and people who want to complain and be angry. Well, thank you very much, Ariana. That is a really kind comment. Very kind comment. I do appreciate it. I do think there's some truth to what you're saying, because I do jokingly like whine and nag about like how these crazy people end up in my comment section sometimes. I'm not talking about like the regulars and the long-standing people who are just like, you know, sometimes say some goofy stuff. I'm talking about like these people who are like John the Rapist in the comments, and they're just like, woke video games are gonna fucking, you know, poison the water and turn your kids gay and stuff. It's like, no, stop. That's the kind of stuff I'm more complaining about. You know, jokingly complaining about, whatever. I don't give a shit. Whoever wants to write in. But there's some truth to what you're saying, because I do bring it on. Absolutely, I bring it on myself. If I conducted myself in a even semi-professional manner, I'm sure this podcast could attract someone who's like, oh, compelling podcast, Jesse. And my question to you is, referencing Sean Layden's comments regarding the PlayStation 5 Pro, given his experience working for the brand for 30 plus years, how do you think that affects Xbox's point of view to invest in new hardware formats such as handheld gaming as opposed to doubling down on most powerful console ever. They must feel pretty vindicated. Interested to hear your thoughts. Like we could get a comment like that if I conducted myself like a fucking adult. If I was like, hey, welcome to the Xbox On podcast. Guys, it's a slow news week, but I'm always excited to talk to you guys about Xbox. Gotta tell you, I'm really looking forward to that new Call of Duty game this weekend. Once I get off work Friday, I'm going to freaking slip me a beer and really enjoy a couple matches of multiplayer with my friends. But I don't do that. I come on this podcast, I'm like, I smelled Sonic's butthole and it's blue raspberry flavor. What do you want from me? And then everyone's like, all right, I'm fucking retarded. I'm going to comment on this podcast. And then thus the cycle is created and we're all fucking broken like this. So Ariana, if you're still here listening and you're still commenting, probably means you're touched in the head, just like the rest of us. So sorry, thank you, and yeah, thanks for the compliment. Don't, with all due respect, thank you very much for the compliment. I'm not being funny. Don't compliment. I don't do well with the compliments, but thank you. Very, very kind of you. So you, Cronky, Jason Wilson, of course, famous for Wilson's Cookie Factory, and Fedimist, who I think is my nephew. I can't be sure. Thank you all for writing in. We got two more. We saved the best for last. And I don't know that to be true because I didn't read these beforehand. But Objects in Space wrote in and says, I found a place that sells some Mountain Dew flavors that you used to talk about. Major Melon, Code Red, those were good. But Baja Blast was a standout. It might seem insignificant, but I've been listening to you pretty regularly for years now. Oh my God. Have I been alive that long? And being able to try these delicious beverages that I've heard you talk about again and again was a nice moment. Do you think teenagers still cover the walls of their bedroom with band posters? The thought of this trend dying with Gen Zers or whatever they're called now depresses me. There's that fucking Xbox On charm. Well, hey, first of all, you getting to try those, that's awesome. I remember there was a, I don't know what you want to call it. I guess in the Northeast they call it a bodega. There was a corner store in Decatur, Georgia, near my old job that I used to go to all the time. It's just like one of those random little fucking corner stores. It was owned by this nice older couple that like didn't speak English at all. But it was like, I swear to God, these people were fucking following me around in my day-to-day life and trying to pinpoint every product I would ever want to carry or ever want to have because they carried like the most obscure shit and it was all stuff I loved. But it's like a random corner store. It's like get a bag of chips, a Coke out of the machine, a fucking pack of cigarettes, whatever. But they somehow would get their hands on like flavors of Mountain Dew that have been discontinued for like a couple of years, like maybe 2 or 3 years. And they would just have like non-expired cans. I remember in 2018 going into that convenience store before work one day to grab a Mountain Dew. And they just had cans of the Titanfall Mountain Dew Game Fuel just sitting there, fresh, unspoiled, whatever. I don't know if this older couple from fucking Lithuania, wherever the hell they're from, stole this shit from the Pepsi factory in Nashville, Tennessee, or wherever the hell it's made. I don't know. But it was so good. I loved that place. And everything was cheap. So I'd drop a couple quarters, grab a can of Mountain Dew Game Fuel. And again, it's like 2 years after Titanfall 2 came out. It was good shit. I loved that place. But your comment reminded me of that. But I'm glad you're able to try those flavors, man. It's always good. I love Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew's been... I've been so disappointed with Mountain Dew. I feel so out of touch with the brand lately, but I do love it. It's been a big part of my life. It always will be. Objects in Space, thank you for writing in. Have a great week. Oh, wait. Your bottom comment there. Teenagers covering their bedroom walls with band posters. You know what? I didn't do that. Despite being raised on like punk rock and shit and music being such an important part of my life, I don't think I had any band posters. My brother, my older brother definitely did. His room was like covered head to toe in like Jimmy Eat World and Angels and Airwaves posters and shit like that. But I had posters for sure. I had like maybe 4 or 5 different Spider-Man posters at one time in my room. But I'm trying to think if I had anything else. I think all the posters, I think I had a Transformers poster. But I think that was it. I think I really just had like Spider-Man posters for the most part. There was something else I had. I don't remember what. It doesn't fucking matter. But yeah, the point in general, yeah, like the covering your room in posters. listen, I had this conversation with someone before. I know I like to jokingly rag on like the people who have like just endless copious amounts of 80s nostalgia. I get it. I get where it comes from, and I get why there are people like that, and I don't begrudge anyone for it. But as someone who's not, who's younger than that, I have that nostalgia for the 90 or like late 90s into the early 2000s, and I'm just going to say it. And I'll say it again and again and again. The 1990s were the best decade ever. That is a fact. It will always be fact. Unless we somehow get our shit together. I don't think we're getting our shit together. Economically, prosperous. Politically, peaceful. Design was cool. Fashion was ridiculous and stupid, but fun. Interior design, awesome. Stores, restaurants, theme parks. Wackiest, coolest, funnest stuff. Everything looked so fun and inviting. If you were a kid, if you had fun in your heart, if you had like any inclination to enjoy life, everything looked cool and fun. Everything was wacky. Fonts were cool. Computers were fresh and new, but not overbearing like they are today. The 1990s were the best time ever. So yeah, if it's like the late 90s or the early 2000s and you got the fucking Blink-182 poster on your wall and you got the lip ring and mom and dad tell you to turn down the music and you got a mini fridge in your fucking bedroom stocked with Surge, like life's good. The 1990s, that is the correct answer. So whenever someone asks you a question, hey, what time is it? 1998. That's what it is. It's April 1998. Disney's Animal Kingdom has just opened, and guests are complaining that it's not a full-day theme park. Life is good, okay? That is what we all strive for in this world. All right, thank you for writing in Objects in Space, and now we round out with Kyle Corver. Is this your first time writing in? This is new? You're new? You're a new person? You're just born? Kyle says, I'm jealous that you're playing on an Xbox Series X with an account that you've had since the Xbox 360 era. I had an Xbox 360 too, but it got stolen. And I can't remember the gamer tag or login info at all since I stopped playing games in 2017. You're truly blessed to still have access to your account. This means you have your saves, achievements, gamer score, all the games that can still be accessed on the latest Xbox consoles. That's what PlayStation has, or that's what Xbox has over PlayStation. Backwards compatibility. I bought a modded RGH Xbox 360 in 2021 because most of the games I had on the Xbox 360 got delisted. One of the perks of a RGH, whatever the fuck that means, is playing delisted games. The only downside to an RGH Xbox is that you can't transfer games on the next gen console because the games weren't bought from the Xbox store. They were accessed illegally. I currently have an Xbox Series X, but my account looks new because I had to start from scratch. So all my sweat and hard work from my 360 days, 2010 to 2017, is down the drain. Well, I actually gotta be honest with you, man. That is genuinely sad. I do feel for you, Kyle, because that is definitely something that helped keep me on Xbox over the years, especially like the transition to like the PS4, Xbox One era. Like back then, I was a little more agnostic than I am today, and definitely one of the things that helped keep me with Xbox was 100% that. It's. Dude, I always thought about it. I remember like considering the idea of buying a PlayStation 4 and not an Xbox One. I was like, dude, I have all the achievements on Left 4 Dead. I can't just let that go. Are you kidding me? What will my kids think of me in the future? So for sure. Like, and Xbox is good about it. Like, you click on your profile, and it's like member since 2009, and it tries to make you feel good about yourself. And I actually had an Xbox 360 profile that I lost the info to as well, that I made in 2006. So my original Xbox account would actually be from 2006, but the one I use today is the one I made when I got an Xbox 360 Elite, which was in the spring of 2009. So that's the account I use from then until today. So, and I always think about that. I'm like, damn, my account should say that it's 3 years older than it truly is. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm very grateful to have that account. Dude, I love that shit. It's so fucking useless. It means nothing, but there's something that is so, like, as someone who's like just painfully deeply nostalgic and just constantly just reminiscing from my youth, like there's something that, like, this is gonna sound embarrassing, but I'll just be honest with you. Like, it's like, I don't know, it's like digging through like your old like your drawer and seeing like your old, like you see like in the movies, like the 45-year-old man's cleaning out the garage and he finds a box with like a photo of him and his dad and his old baseball glove from when he was growing up. And like, I get that feeling about my Xbox 360 like records and stuff. Like, just like, oh man, the first Halo 3 achievement I ever unlocked, down to the minute. It tells me the day, the time, and it's like, it means something. Like, you can think back on that and be like, man, oh man, it's been so long. I remember coming home from school that day, and all I wanted to do was play Halo, and I was just so excited. And I remember hopping on, and my buddies and I played, and there's something really powerful about that. And I know, like, the more important thing that keeps people in one ecosystem or another is like what happened last generation, where it's like, of course I'm going to buy PS5 because I bought all those video games digitally on PS4 and I don't want to lose them. But to me, it's like, I had that realization before the generation before that, where I was like, I want to get Xbox One because, like, I don't want to lose my records and my achievements and my Xbox avatar t-shirts and all the random shit I have on my profile, all those random TV episodes I bought with my Microsoft account because we used to do that stupid shit in 2008. And yeah, there's something, dude, that stuff, like, that's like a walk down memory lane. I do that stuff every once in a while when I'm just dicking around on Xbox, and I'll just scroll down and be like, boop, 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 boop. All right, Guitar Hero Van Halen. Let's see, what was the first day I ever played that game? And you just kind of look through it and you're just like, God, man, it just takes you back. It's crazy, man. Just 15 years ago, we're all listening to the fucking Midst to Midnight by Linkin Park and playing Xbox 360, Gears of War. And if you played PlayStation 3, you were gay. Everyone knew that. And now you fast forward to today, and it's like, I got Bloodborne. I listen to rave music. I got Bloodborne, bitches, on my PlayStation 5 Pro. And it's like, all right, I'm clearly out of touch. I should just fucking jump on a bed of spikes at this point, because I live in a world I don't recognize. I'm going to go listen to Shadow of the Day and fucking chainsaw someone's body in half now. Okay, leave me the fuck alone. But no, I appreciate your comment. And that wasn't to rub it in your face, but it was because your comment resonated with me a lot. Because while I feel for you, and I'm sorry that was your experience, hang on to the account you have now. Obviously, it will grow into something sentimental over time if Xbox is something you stick with, or if Xbox is something that Microsoft sticks with. We'll see. But yeah, man, I appreciate it because it definitely brought up some warm, fun memories, and definitely an angle of the Xbox brand that means a lot to me. I'm sorry that I can't feign generic excitement for the announcement of Subnautica 2 early access in 2025. Like, I don't really give a shit about that. But yeah, I mean, I love Xbox for many reasons, and that's definitely one I think about. It's just, yeah, all the memories and all the records that Xbox keeps that allows you to just be like, yeah, this is what my dashboard used to look like. And oh man, I can't believe my avatar still has this goofy cowboy hat that I can put on him after all these years. And I love that shit. So thank you all for writing in. Thank you all for listening. That's going to do it for this week's episode. I got to go edit this bad boy now, and hopefully I didn't lose any more of the podcast. But yeah, it's been a good week. Let's go play some Sonic Generations, some Black Ops 6, Game Pass Day 1. Let's go, baby. And till next week, have fun, be well. I won't, I guess technically I'll record one more time before Halloween, but have a good Halloween season. Make sure, listen, I'll say this one more thing. This is my first Halloween as a homeowner, but more importantly, my first Halloween as someone who lives in the suburbs. I did not grow up in the suburbs. I grew up in off this random road that had like a dozen houses dispersed on it, but it wasn't like a proper neighborhood. I didn't live in like a proper cookie cutter suburbia neighborhood. I always wanted to, but I didn't. And now that I do have that, I have achieved that dream. I live in a cookie cutter house 2 feet away from my neighbor. It makes me so excited because I am so excited as an adult to be able to give that Halloween, that authentic Halloween experience to some other kids. So, I guess what I'm just trying to say is if Halloween's not your thing, totally cool. Go do you. But I would implore you, if you're someone who lives in a neighborhood, a place with kids and stuff, rise to the occasion, and do the right thing. Like, do right by your community, do right by the kids in your neighborhood, and take the holiday seriously, because it means a lot. So I'm just, but I know candy's expensive. I know everything's expensive. Buy a bag of candy, stand outside, give some kids some candy, say Happy Halloween, make comments about their costumes. It's a good time, man. Halloween's the best fucking day of the year. So I don't know. I'm super excited for the first time to get to help contribute to that. I'm really looking forward to passing out candy and putting some decorations in the lawn and stuff like that, and just vicariously enjoying the holiday through the youth. But I don't even know what kids do now. They're like, I'm dressed as a fucking TikTok. Like, little girls come up to you and they're probably like, I'm an OnlyFans. And little boys come up to you and like, I'm Ninja, the streamer, not the fucking Japanese thing. And I don't know what the fuck they do now. I'm probably gonna cringe to death just watching how kids handle Halloween. But still, they're still kids, and Let them have their fun. It's their day. So be good, be well, eat some good candy, fuck calories on Halloween night. And until next week, how are your days?